For years we've been told that fats are bad for you and should be avoided, but that is the furthest thing from the truth. In this video, I'll reveal the secret to fats, why they're good for you, and why you should be eating them every single day. No one has ever made this distinction to you before, but when you think of fat, there's probably two things that pop into your mind. There's probably the macronutrient, protein, carbohydrates, and fats, and there's also probably fat people. But these are completely different. They may have the same name, which is extremely misleading, and the food industry does like to make use of that. But in this video, we will be calling body fat adipose tissue. That is the scientific name. But adipose tissue and dietary fats are completely different. They are not one and the same. Fats do not make you fat. As in dietary fats. Dietary fats do not contribute to your overall fat mass at all. Carbohydrates are stored as fat. Fat isn't stored as fat. Protein isn't stored as fat. Carbohydrates are stored as fats. See, fat actually lowers cholesterol. That statement right there was a blanket statement, which means that I've just wrapped the word fat as one big thing without taking into consideration that there's multiple variants of fat. This is what, the doctors and the food industry like to do. They like to take the word fat and just say, fat's bad for you. They love blanket statements. The correct fats are brilliant for you, and they actually lower cholesterol. The bad cholesterol, because again, blanket statement, there's a good cholesterol and a bad cholesterol. LDL is the bad cholesterol. HDL is the good cholesterol. A very high LDL means that you're quite likely to get diabetes. But a high HDL is not a problem. And there's three broad types of fat. There's saturated fats, unsaturated fats, and trans fats. We'll go through them one by one. Unsaturated fats are brilliant. They lower the LDL and they raise HDL. We want as many of these as possible. Well, not as many, too much of anything isn't great. But we want, of these three types of fats, unsaturated is the best, without question. Then we've got saturated fats. These are the types that you know as dairy. It'd be butter, milk, cheese, that type. These are not great. In those pure forms, butter, milk, cheese, they're not bad. But they're in a lot of other things that are not very good. This raises LDL. Very slightly in small amounts, but quite catastrophically in large amounts. So if you're eating quite a lot of processed foods, there'll be a lot of saturated fats in there, and that will raise your LDL exponentially, possibly giving you diabetes. Trans fats are actually banned in America. I'm not quite sure if they're banned in the UK, but these are very bad. These significantly raise LDL, like tenfold what saturated fats do. These are the worst types of fats you will ever ingest. I'm pretty sure they're banned in most countries. But what the doctors don't actually tell you is cholesterol is the precursor to testosterone and estrogen. The sex hormones. It's also the precursor to cortisol, the stress hormone. Us creating our own vitamin D. So we need cholesterol. You see all these products like the yogurts. Proven to lower cholesterol. You don't want to lower your cholesterol. Everyone online is saying, let's lower our cholesterol. Let's be specific. Let's lower our LDL and raise our HDL. Because why are we lowering our cholesterol? We want cholesterol. No one ever makes the distinction. It's just cholesterol and fat. Never mind the subcategories. No. And they do that to confuse you. You know, if everyone's educated like you are now, because you sat through this video, if everyone is educated on the different types of fats and cholesterols, then their bullshit will be called out. The food industry has manipulated all of us. They want us to be confused. You know, they want to sell us more low-fat yogurts. Oh, yes! Low-fat cheese, 40% less fat. Cheese is just fat. Cheese is literally like 80% fat. If you're taking 40% of that away, what are you replacing the 40% with? And they're trying to tell you that that stuff is better for you. Fat tastes good. That's just an unequivocal. I don't know if I pronounced that right. That's just a fact. Fat tastes good. Fat makes things taste good. That's why bacon tastes good, because bacon is quite fatty. So when they're removing all the fat from these yogurts, you know, zero fat, it tastes quite bitter. It's just, you're just left with like a bitter pink sludge. So what do I think? Oh yeah, we'll put some sugar in it. Put some sweeteners. Yeah, we'll put some acid balancers as well. Yeah, acidity. Sure. So they're putting all these harsh chemicals in just because they've taken something that's actually really beneficial for you out. And they've told you it's better for you. So it no longer helps regulate your hormones. It's now just going to kill your hormones. Because that's what sweeteners do. And sugar just lowers your testosterone and estrogen. You see? Something's not right there. When you eat carbs, normally you find that you're quite hungry afterwards. Unless you've eaten a lot and you have a carb crash. You know, I'm normally quite unsatisfied when I eat some carbs. And that's actually because carbs don't fill you up. They don't satiate you. It's fats and protein that satiate you. But you're always told as a kid, oh yeah, no, carbs are great. Carbs, yeah, you need to have carbs with every meal. When I first started trying to get more lean, I made a meal prep. And my mum used to help me make it. So when I was making it with her, I used to have couscous in my meal prep. And when I tried to take the couscous out and I said, no, I don't want the couscous in there anymore. I'm trying to, you know, lower my carbs. My mum was like, what? You can't do that. You need to have carbs. You need to have carbs in the meal. Everyone is just so brainwashed, I guess is the word, nowadays. It's all just a marketing tactic, and it's just eating the single ingredient foods makes this so simple. Just eating clean is so much easier because you don't have to avoid the fucking zero fat rubbish, you know. Anyway, the best sources of unsaturated fats are olive oil, nuts, and oily fish. Oily fish is like salmon, tuna, you know, Google the rest. But these are, olive oil is the best because you can cook a fish in olive oil. You know, you can cook mincemeat in olive oil. That's one of my go-tos for just a quick meal. You can literally cook basically anything in olive oil and it'll be good. So just adding that, replacing your seed oils with it is one of the easiest quick changes you can make to get more fat into your diet. Now, you do want saturated fats in your diet. Just not a ridiculous amount. You know, don't consume to excess. And the best sources of saturated fats, as previously mentioned, are dairy ingredients. Ideally, for butter, you want, you'll find like the block butter, like the block butters, they'll be like that, and it'll be like a silver or a gold packaging, and it'll say unsalted on it. That's the stuff you want to get, because sea salt actually contains estrogenics, which sounds absolutely ridiculous, but if the estrogenics and birth control is going into the ocean, then surely everything in the ocean is going to have the birth control on it. Sorry, rabbit hole. Anyway, all dairy is perfectly fine. You want to watch how you have your milk, because they'll homogenize it, they'll put preservatives in it. You want to get it from a local farm. If you live in like the countryside type area of whatever country you're in, it should be quite easy. I live not too far from one, I don't even live in the countryside, I live right next to a city, but it's so easy nowadays to find these small farm shops that do, even in glass bottles, so you don't have to touch the microplastics. Everywhere is so accustomed to it nowadays, it's not even weird. It's such a good change to see. Anyway, that's all I've got for you today. Have a hard day and a great week. Mwah.